line number 2. Say good morning to the independent member of the House, Mount Pearl-Southlands, Paul Lane. Good morning, Paul. You're on the air.
Good morning, Paddy. How are you this morning?
Very well. How about you?
I'm doing just great. Paddy, before I get into my subject, I just want to say I had the opportunity to attend this year's Mount Pearl City Days again over the weekend. It was fantastic. It was a fantastic event, well organized. I just want to throw out a bouquet to the City Days Advisory Committee and to all the volunteers and community groups in Mount Pearl that put it together and provided some great fun and camaraderie and so on for the citizens of Mount Pearl.
Good. Mount Pearl knows how to put off these events. That much I will give them. No problem to extend those compliments to the city of Mount Pearl. Every time they do something like this, the community rallies around it, supports it, and comes out and participates. Yep. Not so much in town.
No. I think part of that issue is I think sometimes when you get a bit too large, I suppose, that you lose a bit of that community feel. And I've always said that Mount Pearl is probably the biggest bay in Newfoundland and Labrador, quite frankly, and there's great community spirit for sure. And so one of the things I love about the place. But anyway, why I called.
On we go.
So, Paddy, I guess I just wanted to comment again on the Muskrat Falls project. And I want to say, right off the top, to be quite clear, I don't condone anybody breaking the law. And I certainly agree with you that I don't think politicians should be involved when it comes to matters before the courts and so on. I think we're going down a very slippery slope when we start interfering in our justice system, to be quite honest. But with that said, I think that it's unfortunate that these people, these 3 individuals now, have been put in that position to begin with, because the things that they are standing up for and asking for are things that I think we should all be concerned about. One of the things, of course, being ensuring that, there's proper mitigation measures put in place and being able to demonstrate that to protect food supply and not to poison the food supply with methylmercury. That was something that from, day one that Nalcor said that it had a grip on, and now that's been called into question. And we had a commitment to be able to be transparent in that matter and to be able to demonstrate that there would be mitigation measures put in place. We haven't seen all that evidence yet, and that's one thing they're asking for. I don't think that's unreasonable. The North Spur was another issue that, again, at the Nalcor AGM that I attended, that question was put to officials at Nalcor about the North Spur, and they said that they had at that time an engineering solution, and that engineering solution was included in the DG3 numbers of $6 billion at the time. That's now come into question as well, and all they're asking for is, again, some proof that the North Spur will hold up and that people are not going to end up in a disaster if the dam were to break. That's not unreasonable. And the third thing is the audit.
Let's go one by one here. So the methylmercury issue, there's new methylmercury numbers out, is my understanding. I haven't had a chance to look at them, but I will. Yep. The issue of the North Spur, yep. I have a document here in my hand, as a matter of fact, 10 pages of questions posed by David Vardy about the North Spur specifically, and the answers coming from Nalcor. It is not only 10 pages, let's see here, 17, 18, 20 questions and 20 answers, all the way from the technical evaluation and whether or not a dam has ever been built on sensitive clays in the past. Nalcor gives a bunch of examples. I'm not defending Nalcor here. This is the first time I've seen this document, actually.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, to be honest with you.
All the way down to insurance for the dam. And, of course, the insurance issue is an interesting conversation here, because as an insurance company, if I'm going to take on a project like Nalcor as an insured entity, the North Spur and the hydro dam at Muskrat Falls as an insured entity, whether it be haul risk construction insurance, wrap-up liability, pollution liability, they're going to do their own assessment independently of the integrity of the project. And I don't mean business integrity, I mean the structural integrity and the risks downstream. And the project qualified for all of those insurances and premiums are being paid. So if anyone wants this and sends me an email, I'll forward it along because I think it's a fascinating read. No, it's not all real high level geotech, absolutely impossible to understand unless you're trained in the field. It's worth the read. If anyone wants it, I will be happy to surf it about if you send me an email at openline@vocm.com. To that point, is there even a realistic hope for any of those demands? The forensic audit is a standalone issue because you either can say, yes, we're going to do it and let the results speak for themselves. But on Method Mercury and the North Spur, we might be at a point of no return where no answers are going to be satisfactory.
Well, you know what, Paddy? I believe that, you could, in some people's minds, I believe you're right, that some people are, against the project, period. And no matter what information you put out, they probably won't be satisfied. But I think that, what's being asked for here and what seems reasonable, to me at least, is that independent assessment and that independent proof to put the information out there and to put the issue to rest once and for all for at least the vast majority of people who have concerns. And whether that be methyl mercury, whether it be the issues surrounding the North Spur, and of course the other issue being the audit of the project. Like, let's get the information out there. Let's prove, as can reasonably be done by some independent sources, knowing full well that no matter who does it, unless you get the answer that some people want to get, they probably would be against it anyway. But, let's put out a reasonable attempt to put out the information, to do it independently, to answer all the questions, and to put the issue to rest so, people can sleep at night. People who are living downstream of that project can actually sleep at night with, some assurances that this is being done properly and that it's going to hold and so on. And that's why it won't be put at risk.
It's been one of the issues that I've never really understood Nalcor's want to be so protective of this technical oversight work. They've created a problem themselves here.
They have.
If this was, for instance, if the engineer, Dr. Leroux, or I think that's how you pronounce his name, if he was put forward as an interview as the independent person who had evaluated the stability plan for the North Spur, and all the technical oversight committee that we knew who these people were, we knew their professional CV and all of this kind of stuff, and they evaluated it, came back with a publicly released document where they have gone through Nalcor's plan for the North Spur. If that was all done up front, even for those of us who have no geotechnical experience or expertise, of which I have zero,
me either.
If those two bodies, a technical oversight standalone committee with no one from Nalcor on it, if they had been speaking to this issue and monitoring the core drilling and the stability plans and all of the pumping issues and doing all the highbrow work to give us some assurance that Nalcor's on the right track, this issue might have gone away a long time ago.
I agree, Paddy.
But it never has. I mean, we are no closer to understanding the plan necessarily than we were from day one. And that includes people like me. And I just read this yesterday. Yep. 10 pages of not extremely complicated, but fairly complicated questions and answers. And even this would have been a help a long time ago. Even just this document, which I'm happy to share.
Yeah, Paddy, and I agree, but the problem that Nalcor has now, quite frankly, like, it's fine for Nalcor to answer questions and put out information, but the problem that they have now is based on, I guess, some of these things have come forward, whether it be the SNC leveling document and other information that's come out, the anonymous engineer, all these things, that people don't trust Nalcor, and that's the problem they got. Even if they put out the appropriate information, the right information, people are always going to look at it with a jaundiced eye because of some of these other things that have come up, some of these other information that was put out by Nalcor that's turned out to be, totally false. And it's a trust issue, and that's the biggest issue they have, quite frankly.
One way to reinstill any type of trust, like when we're talking about the RNC, maybe civilian oversight will be the step towards bringing the public back into the fold. Nalcor, same thing. Yep. If we have people, whether it be the AG and the work Padden's office is doing now, even though that's going to be a cursory look as we understand it, and then a forensic audit, and whatever else is included, and a technical oversight body reporting back to the public versus just being working for Nalcor. Those types of things are so critical at this point because, as you say, and this is the PC's fault in full, is they kid gloved Nalcor every step of the way, even when things were going wrong. And it's not just at Muskrat Falls. Any question or concern, the government of the day, the Tories, will stand up and defend Nalcor versus say, we'll get the answers and we'll take people to task and people will be accountable. Never happened. And so consequently, Nalcor became an arm of the PC party, and politicians, their integrity, their trust factor, all ebbs and wanes, and Nalcor fell into that when, in fact, it should be a crown corporation that is answering to the public, not a political arm of the PCs. I can't believe they did that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Paddy. That's definitely what happened, and unfortunately now we're seeing a situation where, as a result of that, people just don't trust what's coming out of, quite frankly, a corporation that we should be very proud of, and one that's going to play, a significant role in our future. And in that regard, I also want to say, I and other people, have called and been critical of, a lot of things that have gone on and so on. But I just want to say that is not a reflection on the men and women who go to work every day, whether it be with Nalcor in general or with, Newfoundland, Labrador, Hydro.
Oh, I agree.
We have great employees that do, great work, and I know that it must be tough on those people going to work every day, and all you hear is negativity around, around the project and around Nalcor, and it's certainly not a reflection of, the men and women who, work very hard every day.
Oh, they're up there doing the best.
That as well.
They're up there doing their best. Of course they are. They're not working against us. As you say, our brothers and sisters of the community who happen to be working for Nalcor.
That's right.
Just because you have that employer doesn't make you a bad person. I would never be so foolish to say that, even though many people imply exactly that.
Yeah.
It's bigger than just individual employees. This is also a Crown Corp and the leadership that has been at Nalcor and the way the government treats Nalcor and the cash transfer to Nalcor and the secretness and the lack of transparency on many files, including this godforsaken North Spur. This is why we are where we are with Nalcor and how people view the Crown Corp, which is really unfortunate. It's a massive company. It's the energy company in the province. We're an energy producing province, and we have this problem. Some of it's perceived and some of it's very real problem with Nalcor. So anyway, it's got me drove.
Yeah, I know, and it's got a lot of people drove, quite frankly. So let's hope that we can get this information out there. I really hope that the Premier will take some leadership in this regard, direct Nalcor to get this information out there, have this independent review, make it public, and then also let's get this audit done. Paddy, before I go, I just want to conclude by saying I had a conversation with you a while ago about my intentions as it come to the upcoming municipal elections.
Right.
I told you at that time that being mayor of Mount Pearl is something that I always wanted to do. I wasn't going to close the door at the time, but I would let you know, I guess, when I made a final decision, so to speak. So I just wanted to put it out there because a lot of people have been asking me about it. I did put it out on social media, but I'll put it out here as well. I made a commitment to the people of Mount Pearl-Southlands about 2 years ago, and I intend on fulfilling that commitment as their MHA for the district of Mount Pearl-Southlands. I would love to be mayor of Mount Pearl. It's something I've always wanted to do. Maybe sometime in the future I'll have that opportunity, but for now I'm going to stick to the commitment that I made to the people I represent as their MHA, and I will also say that I fully intend on seeking re-election once again in the upcoming 2019 provincial election.
We appreciate that update here on the program. Yep. Glad you followed through with that, and thanks for the call this morning.
Not a problem, Paddy. Always a pleasure.
My pleasure. See you, Paul. Bye-bye. Bye.